Hello, folks. Welcome back to the Rugby Ascendant segment. This is Chris in Central Pennsylvania with an update from World Rugby. World Rugby within the last hour has announced the officials for the Rugby World Cup semifinals in France. And they're both from down under. Australia's Angus Gardner will referee the first World Cup semifinal Friday evening, where Los Pumas from Argentina will take on the All Blacks for a spot in the final. On Saturday, it's a familiar face now for South Africa, who saw Ben O'Keefe in the Ireland game where they lost, and then saw Ben O'Keefe in the quarterfinal where they defeated, survived, escaped, conquered, take your pick, whatever adjective or verb you want to put in there, or adverb to describe what happened as South Africa defeated Ireland. Correction, South Africa defeated France 29-28. So excited about it. But Ben O'Keefe called that game as well. Ben O'Keefe will take charge of that second semifinal between England and the Springboks. Now, this is a rematch of the final from 2019. In 2019, many pundits, analysts, and supporters after the World Cup said England left their World Cup on the field with the All Blacks in the semifinal when they defeated the All Blacks and they put it all on the table and didn't have it in the tank to defeat the Springboks. That may or may not be an accurate description of what happened, but one can't help but ask the question, have the Springboks done the same thing in an epic, titanic clash of titans at arguably the best rugby match anyone has seen in donkey years? South Africa held on to defeat France at home in the Stade de France Sunday, 29-28. Have the Springboks left it all on the pitch there? Is the tank empty? Somehow I doubt that. But Gardner and O'Keefe will both be officiating their first ever World Cup semifinal. For O'Keefe, it's his fifth match of this tournament, and it's the second time he'll call an England-South Africa game. World Rugby released a statement saying the selection is based on merit, and the wider team will remain in contention for the Rugby World Cup 2023 bronze final and the final game. Now, you might be asking about South Africa's Jaco Peyper. Well, he was injured. His calf was injured in that game, Wales versus Argentina quarterfinal, where he had to exit the game after 14-plus minutes and be replaced by Carl Dixon. So what are the entire crews and what are the games? The first semifinal is Friday, October 20th, 9 o'clock local time in France, 8 o'clock in the UK, and that would be 3 p.m. here in the East Coast of the United States, also 9 o'clock in South Africa. And both these games are being played at the Stade de France in Paris, St. Denis. So for that game, the referee on the pitch will be Angus Gardner from Australia, and his assistants will be yes, Nick Berry, Carl Dixon from England, and the TMO is Ben Whitehouse. So you have Australia, England, and Wales for that game. The next game, England versus South Africa, that's on Saturday at the same times. And again, at the Stade de France, Ben O'Keefe, whom I call blind as a bat, Ben O'Keefe, after that Ireland game. Ben O'Keefe from New Zealand. Assistant referees are Andrew Brace from Ireland, Paul Williams from New Zealand, and Brendan Pickerel from New Zealand. 2 games in a row in which South Africa gets the majority of the officiating crew from New Zealand. The last, all 4 from New Zealand. This time, 3 of the 4 are from New Zealand. Well, one thing's for certain, we get to the final, you can't have New Zealand officials there, so they're going to have to scramble to come up with something else. You can't have South Africans. So, no Wayne Barnes in these selections. One can only surmise that Wayne Barnes is near the top of the pick to call the final. That would not surprise me at all. People like to mumble and moan and complain about officiating, and they're not alone. I join that crowd at times, particularly during games when I call it and I see things from my vantage point that don't seem to be called. But hey, that's who they have. And those are your officials for the semifinal. There'll be some grousing. There'll be some people saying, hey, it's just how it is. And that is how it is. World Rugby has made its decision, and these are the officials. And presumably, they'll do a fair, balanced, and good job. Let's see. Australia's Angus Gardner gets New Zealand, Argentina, and Ben O'Keefe from New Zealand gets South Africa, England. There you have it, folks. Stay tuned. Watch the games. Thanks for your support.